Hey Gary, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. Good seeing you on Saturday as well. Don't be shy to those who are tuning in. Just want to wait a few minutes until a couple more folks jump on here. Brother Zach, thank you very much. And you'll be able to watch the replay. Don't worry. We'll leave this up for a few hours, but I might clean it up a little bit. The reason I've picked, and if the audio is a little wonky, I apologize. I didn't really plan on doing a live stream today, but two important events have forced me to do so. Good afternoon, brothers. Brother Ray, Jesus, Paul. Thank you guys for supporting. A couple of important things to talk about. We'll give it just another few seconds here before I launch into what it is I wanted to talk about today. And I apologize. I'm using my iPad to do this, so the audio may be a little wonky. That's one. So I'm going to try and stay close. And two, I'm going to keep looking at myself on the screen as opposed to looking at you guys on the camera. So, first things first. A big shout out and thank you to everybody watching right now. We hit 14,000 subscribers, which is about 13,999 more than we ever really expected to get. We started this little YouTube experiment, I guess, about 18 months ago, and it has been, one, a lot of fun, but two, it has brought a lot of information, not only to non-Masons who have questions about Freemasonry and specifically Scottish Rite Freemasonry, but I do know that a lot of brothers around the country have used some of our videos as jumping off points for lodge education and things like that in their lodges, and please feel free to do so. And if there's questions or things, I try and answer as many comments as I can, except for the crazy ones. I really have to stop myself sometimes, and sometimes I don't stop myself. But regardless, 14,000 is huge, and just very heartfelt thanks from the entire team here. It is not just me that does this. We've got a whole group of folks working on this, the entire membership department, Dean and Stan and Judy and Bob and Matt especially, and just so many folks who make it happen. And of course, Grand Commander Jim Cole, who gives us the go-ahead to do these kind of things. Very much appreciated, and really, the love and support we've gotten for doing these videos is overwhelming, and I can't thank you enough. Especially can't thank the folks who are members of the Lost Media Archive. I know that seems silly, but that $2 a month so we can buy that equipment, so we can restore these things. And we've got some special things under works we're keeping to ourselves for right now, but some things that are going to be really a lot of fun to share with you very soon. So thank you for helping us reach 14,000 subscribers. Again, much larger than I ever thought it would be. And we're just about 1,000 shy of where the Grand Lodge of England is. So I want to beat them. And I love them. Our brothers across the pond, as they say. But we want to beat them. So we're going to keep on going. Please do share the videos. Mention it to brothers. We'd love for you to do that, Facebook and all those kinds of things. The reason I've chosen to do this in this room today is pretty important. Over my shoulder here, I feel like I'm weatherman looking at the green screen. This guy here, that is Brother John Mitchell. And it was 222 years ago today that Colonel John Mitchell, he got the Scottish Rite officially underway. He dropped the gavel on what ended up being the first Scottish Rite Supreme Council meeting in Charleston, South Carolina. Now, I didn't want to screw this up, so I went ahead and made myself some notes. Off the top of my head, I could give you a basic history, but since we're live and doing some recording, I didn't want to screw anything up and miss a detail because I don't have the benefit of editing, which is what I would normally do when I'm talking about one of these things. So this John Mitchell, he was Irish born, he was living in Charleston, and he was a Deputy Inspector General of the Order of the Royal Secret. Now that was an order that had been part of the Order of the Royal Secret that Stephen Morin had brought from France and into the Caribbean, and then made its way into, then some colonies, some states at that point in time. And so he was the Deputy Inspector General for that part of the Order of the Royal Secret. And he had been the quartermaster of the Continental Army for a little while and was acquainted with George Washington. Always hurts to have friends in high places. So on May 24th, John Mitchell made the Reverend Frederick Dalcoe, who was a Prussian-born, he was a Prussian, but he was born in London. He was a doctor, he was a minister, he was an author. I'll talk about him in a minute. But he issued the first patent on May 31st to the Supreme Council of the 33rd degree for the United States of America, agreeably to the Grand Constitutions. And he opened that in Charleston, South Carolina at Shepherd's Tavern, and with Colonel Mitchell and Reverend Dalcoe presiding. And they were the sort of superior system, if you will, to the Order of the Royal Secret. And ostensibly, they got their authority, let's say, to open this body from Frederick the Great himself. So Frederick II, King of Prussia, and they actually have publications and transactions and things like that. And they actually wrote, and I don't know if we can see, if you see that little tiny thing right there, that is a facsimile of the first thing that the Supreme Council ever produced, which is the circular throughout two hemispheres, which is basically them stepping forward and saying, hey, everybody, we're here. This is who we are. This is what we do. And this is our first Grand Commander, Colonel John Mitchell. And here's a portion of that. On the 1st of May, 5786, so this is when they started writing it before they called the thing to order about a month later. The Grand Constitution of the 33rd degree, called the Supreme Council Sovereign Grand Inspectors General, was finally ratified by His Majesty King of Prussia, who as Grand Commander of the Order of the Prince of the Royal Secret possessed the sovereign Masonic power over all the craft. In the new Constitution, this high power was conferred on a Supreme Council of 9 brethren in each nation, who possess all the Masonic prerogatives in their own district that this Majesty individually possessed and are of sovereign Masonry. So basically, the assertion is, and there's some argument as to the truthfulness of some of this, but the assertion is that Frederick the Great said, okay, you can open this order on or about May 1st, and then on May 31st, they actually dropped the gavel and did the first one. And if we move this just a little bit here, that thing right there, that is a facsimile of, or a reproduction of, Frederick Dalcoe's 33rd degree petition. That was the first 33rd degree petition right there. So the first ever 33rd degree Scottish Rite Mason to be made was this guy, Frederick Dalcoe. Now we've got the real one over in the Grand Archivist's collection. So this one is on display in this room, which is sort of the Grand Commander's room, and that one over there is the real one, and you can get pretty up close into it and see it, and the detail on the thing is extraordinary. So if you come to the House of the Temple, which is a bucket list trip for all Masons, you can get and see these things. And the room we're in now, I'll step aside. There's Al. The room we're in now is a room of sort of the past Grand Commander. So we've got all kinds of, and I think that's Luther Smith right there. But then if you look up here on the walls, you can see all of the rest of the Grand Commanders in history, save for our current Grand Commander, Brother Jim Cole, and our immediate past Grand Commander, Brother Ronald A. Seal. They're not up there. But I'm going to tell you a little secret. Here's a legitimate Masonic secret. We didn't have pictures for all of them. There's one who we didn't have a photograph of, or a portrait, or a painting, or a likeness, so we had to fake it. And to fake it, they used the image of another well-known Mason, and it was Dr. S. Brent Morris. And I'll show you that guy right there in the top hat, the one with the profile right there. That is actually Brent Morris's profile, and we did that. It happened well before I was here, but they did that painting to because then, and I forget who it is he's representing, but that's not really the guy. It's that's a mock-up. I'm going to show you one more thing. I'm going to turn the camera around for just a second. The Scottish Rite, like all great Masonic institutions, originally met in a tavern. They met on the top floor of Shepherd's Tavern in Charleston, South Carolina. It is no longer there. I believe it burned down sometime around the turn of the 20th century. And there's a bank there, but there's also a marker that denotes the significance of the spot to the fraternity. So if you go to Charleston, South Carolina, you can look for that marker, and you'll be able to see where the place was, but the building itself is long gone. So let's see about turning this around here.
I couldn't find that on...
Oh, hush, Siri. This So that is the portrait of Shepherd's Tavern where the Supreme Council originally met. And we still have upstairs outside the executive chamber, and I think there's some video here somewhere, there's a door knocker outside the executive chamber that when the Supreme Council is meeting and they need to wrap and open the door like they do in all Masonic meetings, that door knocker is from Shepherd's Tavern, and it is the only knocker that's really been used to call the Supreme Council to let them know there's an alarm at the door, so to speak. So just an interesting bit of trivia that it's still in use. So those are the two big things. Thank you for 14,000, and also happy birthday, 222nd birthday to the Scottish Rite. Let's see, we got a bunch of comments on here. See if we can pull those up. Let's see here. There we go. Brother Jeffrey, thank you. Hey, greetings. Blake, good evening from London. Hello across the pond there. Thank you for tuning in. Please give my best to all the brothers over there. Brother Pete, good to see you. Star, my dear buddy, friend, noble, and brother, and one of the five guys, Brother Mark Smith. If you have ever seen that portrait that's like five of us that says Brotherhood under it, and I've got it, I'm much thinner and much less facial hair. Brother Mark is in that photo with me. Las Vegas in the house. Good to see you guys. If you got questions, if there's something you want to know, I'll hang out for another minute or two and answer your questions. Like I said, this is a little bit of an impromptu thing. It kind of slipped my mind what today was. We're busy getting geared up for the biennial session. The biennial session happens in August. It's going to be the weekend of like 19, 20, 21, and 22. It's that whole time there. If you go to scottishrite.org, on the front page, it's there. And it will, it's our big biennial meeting. We do it every 2 years because doing it every year will be horrific, just way too much. And it was, Albert Pike was the person who got that started, and he originally said, hey, trying to get here every year and do this every year is a nightmare, so let's not do it. We're gonna do it every other year, and it's been that way ever since. So we got an entered apprentice, it was Zachary from he's an entered apprentice from Virginia. Brother Eric from Cincinnati. I'll be in Cincinnati with the DeMolay session in 2 weeks. They're going to be there. My son is our Maryland State Master Counselor, and he's actually here in the building today. He's going to be working here this summer. We'll be traveling to do that. We've got some cool things happening that we're working on with DeMolay as well. So who'd I miss? I hate the way this does this. This is pain. Cody Collins from New Jersey. Thank you, my brother. Appreciate it. Again, questions, comments, ideas. I think our next video, geez, I'm sorry about that. I'll make everybody seasick. There's a couple of different things that we are currently working on. A couple of them I'm going to keep to myself. We are continuing to work on the Hall of Honor, which is just to my left here. I don't want to move this thing around and make everybody seasick. The Hall of Honor is, if you look at a photo of the backside of the House of the Temple, there's a big round area, and there's a grand stairwell at the top, and then in the middle level, there is, that's where, kind of the atrium and everything is. And down here on this floor, which is sort of our first floor, is this is all the museum spaces. So over to my right is the Americanism Museum. This is where we've got like the flag that went to the moon and Arnold Palmer's putter and all of those things. But over there, that hallway is where those portraits hang for the Hall of Honor. There are 33 of those. And I've got the goal of making a small video about all 33 of those men. And some are a great challenge because there are some guys who there's tons of photos and videos that we can pull to use to put those together. But then there are some that, you know, they're wonderful Scottish Rite brothers who've done extraordinary things. And there's just not as much photo, video, or like, here's an example, John Philip Sousa. There's just not all that much. You know, we can talk about John, we can show his music, we can have paintings and portraits and things like that, but it's not like there's any moving images of John Philip Sousa like there has been with, say, Gene Autry or Will Rogers. So it presents a few challenges that we have to work around. So still working on that. That's one of our big projects. And one of the big things we like to do is try and find some of those ridiculous Masonic myths that are out there, like the one we released yesterday about the Great Seal and the dollar bill, and try and kind of separate the fact from the fiction. To say that there is no connection between the $1 bill and Freemasonry is not correct, but it's not a real big connection. The only connection is really, in my mind, through Roosevelt and Henry Wallace, who was one of Roosevelt's vice president and the deputy, Secretary of Agriculture under Roosevelt. They were Masons, and they put that seal on the back of the dollar bill. They would have had to have recognized that the all-seeing eye on the back of the Great Seal was a Masonic symbol, but you know, that's all there is to it. And the nonsense with the pyramid, and if you turn the Seal of Solomon or the Star of David, whichever you want to call it at that moment in time, if you want to, and I know there's a difference, but you know, basically the same basic outline. You know, if you tweak it just right, then it touches M-A and S-O and N, yeah, but not in that order and all of that. So a little tricky to say that that's a real thing. But at any rate, those are the things we're working on. So if you got suggestions, ideas, or there's some little myth or weird thing that you're trying on, give me a shout, and I would love to be able to tackle it in a video. So. Hello, North Carolina, and thank you for the invite to Las Vegas. I think we're going to be doing something there in 2024, so I'll have to look you guys up. But in the meantime, please continue to share our videos. Please help us grow the channel. Thank you so much for being a part of it, for joining me today, and for all the Scottish Rite brothers and Freemasons, wheresoever dispersed. Thank you for being a part of this amazing fraternity of ours and such a rich and wonderful history. And finally, of course, happy 222nd birthday to the Scottish Rite Supreme Council, Southern Jurisdiction, Mother Supreme Council of the world. Thanks, guys. Catch you soon.